First up, we will hear from Dr. Walter Drew. He expresses love through his service and through his leadership. He is a guide and a role model to all of us as a servant leader. Doctor is the highest honor we bestow on anyone in our organization. And a couple of years ago, it was bestowed on Dr. Walter. He is such a quiet man in his service and his commitment and his dedication that we had to give him a title to let people know who he is and what he does. And we honor him with that, and he honors us today with his presence, his experience, and his wisdom. By his side is the angel Barbara, who is a very enthusiastic student of truth, and she has just all the exuberance of a child with the energy and strength around this philosophy we share. And she is so anxious and excited to share everything she learns. I love Barbara as a teacher because as an order we aspire to teach and practice, and Barbara practices and then teaches. And I think that's a perfect order. When the energy of a hug jumps into physical form, it manifests as Barbara Drew. Please welcome with me Dr. Walter and Barbara Dorn Drew.
Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living is part of a larger organization called Centers for Spiritual Living. And Centers for Spiritual Living consists of 400 affiliated members. We are in 20 countries. We're 250,000 strong. And those 20 countries range from Africa to Ukraine, Switzerland, France, Germany, England, Canada, the United States, Salt Lake, California, on down into Mexico, Central America, and South America. As a matter of fact, the fastest growing region is South America, Central America, and Mexico. And there they don't have church like we do on a Sunday morning, but boy, do they study science of mind. Centers for Spiritual Living has a vision, it has a purpose, and it has a mission. And you should have on your seat or have been given a piece of paper that has the vision, mission, and purpose on it. If you don't, raise your hand. And Kurt, that's his name, right? When we go to see a practitioner, we say, "Hi, I'm Kurt." Just raise your hand. So the vision for Centers for Spiritual Living is a world that works for everyone. The purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And the mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. And you also have a vision. So would you all stand up, please? I know you've already done this, but this is so beautiful. I want to hear you do it again. We are an open, welcome community, celebrating our divinity, loving our humanity, and nurturing our journey of spiritual discovery. And so it is. So Barbara and I spend about an hour and a half every morning in spiritual practice, which includes drinking coffee. And we frequently have discussions about things that are on our mind. We read the Science of Mind magazine. Every day one of us reads it aloud, and then the next day the other person reads it, and we alternate through that. We meditate for half an hour together. And we often talk about, what does it mean, a world that works for everyone? I mean, there are a lot of other nonprofit organizations that have as their vision, Pachamama, for instance, a world that works for everyone. Could be that it's just a little bland. Well, if you turn your paper over, there are 3 governing documents in Centers for Spiritual Living. There are the bylaws, the ODM, which is the organizational design model, and the policies and procedures. The bylaws purposely were kept very short because it takes a business meeting, which only happens once a year, to amend the bylaws, and it gets confusing. So we just made them as short and sweet as possible. Then the ODM describes how we're going to do our business and puts skin on the skeleton. And then policies and procedures are all the requirements. How do you become a practitioner? How do you become a minister? And keeping track of all of that. And I remembered back during integration, I was on an editing team that was editing the organizational design model. And I remembered that we had created something called the global vision. And that's what's on the other side of the paper. And what this does is explains exactly what it means to say a world that works for everyone. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other, a world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers his or her own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life, a world where this kinship with all of life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. We envision a world where each and every person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging, a world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. We envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. And just keep loving each other and knowing that what we're really all about is creating a world that works for everyone, awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And we do this by providing spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. Thank you very much.
So, many of you have had an opportunity over the last few days in this glorious advanced weekend to grow your leadership skills, to deepen your spiritual practitioner skills, to expand your creativity in both painting and the aging process. And this morning from Walter to learn more about our parent organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, and your important relationship in it as a community. And he was very right in saying right now, Santa Fe is looking to you. We may take you on as a mentor community. We've gone through this before. This is 3 years ago, but here we are back again. We've already gotten a good music director, and we're excited about that. And Rick, oh my God, your music team, I want to bring her here and say, this is what we want to do. We're so excited. So you've perhaps heard the ancient phrase to describe how the universe works: as above, so below. I can't see you out very well there, but have you heard of that before, some of you? I learned about it when I was like 18 years old, my senior year of high school, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it has been part of guiding my life ever since then. And if we look at your teaching symbol here, that's exactly what it's talking about. So here, in the top of the V, is Spirit, Source, Creator, God, Allah, whatever you choose to call it. The realm of oneness, of all possibilities. Everything is possible there. Love, it's the realm of capital love, truth, purpose, all of those things. And then it filters down as, the word is spoken from the great on high out into the universe. Then there's a process of manifestation that comes down as the V narrows. Guess what? At the bottom of the V is the manifestation. And that's us. That's the manifest universe. And that's what we refer to as the microcosm. So we've heard a lot just now about the larger organization, about your Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. And now my job was to take us into the microcosm, to ourselves, for we are the building blocks of all that happens on the larger scales. Without us, or depending on the quality of our own consciousness and our open hearts, we impact, for good or less good, what happens on the larger scales. We are very important to how all this works. So to further help us understand the importance of our individual roles, we're going to call upon the ancient metaphor of, it's called Indra's jeweled net. Maybe some of you have heard about this. This is attributed to a Buddhist named Tu Shun, who lived from 640 to 557 BCE. And he asked us to envision a vast net hanging over the palace of the god Indra, way up there. And here are the attributes of this net. That at each juncture, each intersection of where the netting comes together, lies a jewel. And each jewel reflects all of the other jewels in this cosmic matrix. Every jewel represents an individual life form, atom, cell, or unit of consciousness. Each jewel, in turn, is intrinsically and intimately connected to all the others in the net. Thus, a change in one gem, one single gem, is reflected in all the others. So in essence, we are all interconnected with each other. And what each of us does in our personal inner and outer lives influences the entire planet. And should we be so bold, the entire cosmos. That's the playground I especially love. So think of it this way. I was thinking about when I was working on this talk, of thinking, okay, there's an Indra's net hanging over the Center for Spiritual Living, Salt Lake. And each of you is a precious gem in this network. And each time one of you grows your consciousness, takes a risk, does something new, helps someone, loves on someone, then all of you, your whole center shines more brightly, and it has more impact in the world. So we are important. So to refer back to Walter's, the expanded description from the ODM about a world that works for everyone, as he mentioned, it's kind of like, well, gosh, those sound like a lot of wonderful things. But what is our place in that? What is each one of us to do? Because we are each a unique expression of the oneness in form. There is no other jewel who is sitting out here, any of you jewels, gems, in the entire cosmos. Each one of you is unique. And you were given this constellation of talents and gifts and all these things that Spirit wants you to express uniquely. So Tracy Brown was with us last week, and her talk was called let's see, all different, all alike. So within the great oneness, we all have a unique expression. So, like I find, opening my email, oh my gosh, there's so many opportunities to give time, talent, and treasure. What do we do? So we just spent the last year working with futurist and visionary evolutionary Barbara Marx Hubbard, who unexpectedly and sadly made her transition on April 10th at the age of 93, if you can believe it. I'm sorry, 89. And she was that was my mother. I lapsed into mother. Mom died at 93 and a half. Barbara at 89. So Barbara, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to ever work with her, but she was the living exemplar of someone who was truly in touch with her life purpose and living it with her entire being, her consciousness, for decades. She was an instrument for bringing the scientific and spiritual realms together in collaboration for the highest good of our planet. She worked on a big scale. To be in her presence was to be in the presence of delight, curiosity, intelligence, and a vast understanding of humanity's unique and important role in the cosmic scheme of life. As she reminded us many times, the 13.7 billion year evolutionary process has resulted in us. We are all here on purpose and with a purpose. And the way our whole system has the potential to tip right now, Walter mentioned the tipping point. We're in the midst of a lot of stuff on our planet right now, and it looks sometimes like we're going backwards, and we are the ones that have to tip it forward into moving evolution forward in a positive way. So as a way to get in touch with what is uniquely ours to do, in our work with Barbara Marx Hubbard, we worked in groups of up to 8 people and explored what is our deepest heart's desire. And that's kind of AKA our life purpose. Our heart's desire is not a personal whim like a new outfit or a new car or an exciting vacation. Rather, it is the impulse of creation as it's turned up as you and you and you. All great people have been able to do this one thing unique to them. So what is impelling you to move forward to say yes to? As many of you know, and as we've already experienced today, oh my gosh, and with more to come, I snuck in and listened to the choir. Oh my gosh, you're in for such a treat. Music has the power to speak to us in a different way from that of the mind. It can help us access our heart directly. So to help us prepare and possibly generate some ideas, we're going to listen to singer-songwriter and self-described humanitarian Daniel Nahmad's last song.